how do you see that youth and youth-led action is going to play a key role in shaping up global food and nutrition security agenda in future? And what's your vision around that?
Yeah, well, I love this question. Obviously, as a young person being on the stage, it's really a privilege. And again, like, you both are so inspiring and really a true example of trailblazing women. So it's just an honor to be here and an honor to have this opportunity from the World Food Prize. I'm Esha, like you said. I'm 20 years old, so pretty young, but I started my journey all the way when I was 10 years old, when I started Nest for Us with my sister, who was 13. So you can imagine, I had a lot of similar experiences where I was the only young person in the room, the only person advocating, and a lot of people, you know, doubted my ability to make a difference in the beginning, but with consistency, with grit, with the support of so many people, we've been able to get to where we are now, which is one of the world's largest youth-founded nonprofits, really focused on our 5 core programs that tackle over 14 SDGs, with our amazing team of now 9,000 volunteers who've contributed over $6 million in value of volunteer time. So it's been a whole journey, almost a decade now, and it's been absolutely incredible. And I want to really talk more deeply about our first program, which is Nest Nurtures, our Zero Hunger program, to give some more context of my background and my perspectives. So what we do through Nest Nurtures is really address the food-climate nexus. We basically address the issue of scarcity and surplus. So we go into the public and private sectors like schools, restaurants, businesses, rescue their excess food that would otherwise end up in landfills, you know, contribute to nearby soil degradation, climate change, and instead we redistribute that food to families and communities facing food insecurity all across the DC area. And I kind of think, thank you. I think about, when we talk about SOILutions, I kind of see soil as a metaphor for youth engagement, right? Soil is fertile, it's full of life, but it also needs to be nourished, right, in order to actually thrive. And I feel like too often we talk about youth engagement and we're always saying youth are the future leaders, but we're honestly leading right now, right? And seeing what's going on this week with the Global Youth Institute, we're writing the research papers, we're finding our whys, we're creating apps, and we're in gardens, and, you know, maybe even a couple nonprofits, right? Starting some nonprofits along the way. So, you know, we're really putting in the work and the effort. And I think when I imagine a vision of youth-led action, I really see integrating, you know, climate and sustainability curriculum early on, you know, elementary school. And imagine if we did that, and then don't just stop there. We go into cities, and we're having youth food policy councils in every city. So we're building upon the awareness that we've gained and actually taking action. And I think if I was going to sum it up in one sentence, right, I would say youth-led action and its role in SOILutions is really bridging that why with the how. And we already have that why, right? We know the issues that are going on. We're planting the seeds. We just need the support and the belief to actually put them forward. And I have a little story too of how we do that with Nest for Us. And I think one of the most important things, and I feel a lot of responsibility in my role, is especially as one of the first young people to be in these spaces, to open up opportunities and pathways for other young people to also get involved. So we're able to do that by giving leadership opportunities for young people to actually lead these food rescue, like, you know, driving into communities, interacting with low-income families, you know, mentoring other youth. So it's really this life cycle of service. And when you're there, you're seeing all this food and all of this, you're gaining this awareness, right? And really understanding, it makes you think differently about sustainability, about equity, about waste, about justice. And that systems awareness doesn't just stop there, right? It goes back to the classrooms, into your career. Like, I'm a public policy major at Georgia Tech, still in school, missing school for this, but I'll be catching up, don't worry. But I promise, for any teachers of mine watching this. But really, my work with Nest for Us really inspired me to go into public policy to really hopefully take the actions in volunteerism and make it more structural. And I think all of that really starts with this one simple idea of belief. I mean, we at Nest for Us, we've had a long journey of almost 10 years, and we wouldn't have been able to serve 350,000 meals, rescue over 4 million pounds of surplus food, preventing 3.2 million pounds of carbon emissions from entering the atmosphere without belief, right? And it started from my family, from my kitchen table. You know, this whole panel today is about outstanding women trailblazers, and I have to shout out my mom. She was the first woman who really believed in me. Yes, you got to clap for Mom. You know, when I was 6 years old, 7 years old, she would bring me and my sister along to volunteer with her, and that was really when I got inspired and learned that I had the agency and ability to make a difference. So because of her, and she's also an amazing cook, and, you know, my dad's a big foodie, so we really were brought up in this idea that food is more than just food, right? It's culture, it's a connector, and being able to take those ideas and bridge them in local, national, and global communities was amazing, and all because of the belief that people had. And I'm even sitting on this stage today because the World Food Prize Foundation believed in my ability as a young female entrepreneur of color to share share my stories and share how I'm making a difference. So I think if I was going to sum it up in a short sentence, it would be combining this idea of belief with opportunity, right? Not just giving the platforms, but the pathways to engage further, to make sure that youth-led action isn't just symbolic, right, to check a box, but it's really more structural and ingrained, and that's how we're going to keep making a difference in the generations to come.
Absolutely. As a representative for youth leadership in agriculture or global food security, what is your that one key message to the established leaders that they should consider as a voice of youth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially as we look to the next few years of food insecurity, like there are a lot of challenges that we're going to be facing, right? Conflict and inequality and climate shocks and all of these things. But I think in the midst of all these challenges, right, there's an invitation, an opportunity to reimagine certain systems and reimagine really the systems that sustain life itself, right, from soil to spoon. So if I was going to say a quick call to action, it would really be to let the science and the technology, guide us, but let compassion really ground us in what we're doing. I think with equity, I know, like Dr. Sandra, she really talked a lot about how important equity is and really representation and involving young people and female farmers and people who are typically not brought in the conversation, and not just giving them a seat at the table, but the tools in their hands to make change. I know that was game-changing for me, and I think continuing to lead with compassion, and if anybody here, today, listening to the young people with their research papers on the Global Youth Institute, as somebody who was able to be in the room with them and be a roundtable expert, it was amazing to see their ideas and how they were looking at these issues and thinking, there wasn't a lot of data, there wasn't a lot of people looking at this, but I thought, I'm going to be the one to try. And I think that's really giving me hope, and I think we need to really tap more into that idea, because that's really how we're going to go into that systems change, by focusing on what's out there, what's the missing pieces, and how can I play a role, whether it's science or technology or culture or an interconnected mix of all of that, and continuing to lead with empathy and growth and youth leadership.
Innovation needs women, so please give a big round of applause to our trailblazers.